Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I want to talk about repairing a stretch knit pant. Stretch knit is very popular nowadays because it's very comfortable, but just like the word says, it has a lot of stretch to it. When a pant has a lot of stretch to it, it has a tendency for the threads to snap, and then we end up with a hole, such as this. So when this happens, it's a very easy repair to do. Let me show you how to do it. The first thing we need to do is establish how are we going to sew it. There are a couple of different stitches on your machine. You can use a stretch stitch, or you can use a triple stitch. Either of these stitches will work really well. The triple stitch is a good stitch to work with because it's very strong and it's not going to break as easily as the standard stitch. The other thing that is really good to use is a polyester thread. Because you're working with a polyester garment, it's really good to match up the thread. And in this case, I'm going to use 100% polyester thread. It is a lot stronger than cotton thread, and it has the same fibers, so it will work really well. The other thing you need to do is use a stretch knit needle. Here is the 7511. Now this 7511 is a good standard needle to have in your needle collection. It's a good stretch knit. And what it does is the needle is not as pointy as a regular needle. So what will happen is a very pointy needle will actually pierce the fibers. What this will actually do is will go in between the fibers. So it sort of finds the hole where the knit was. And that will prevent stitches from skipping, and it keeps them stronger. The other thing you need to do is have a good standard foot. Here are two standard feet. There are many different kinds. Either of these will work, especially because you can see through them. It has a bit of a clear foot on it, which makes it very easy to see where you are going to go. Now, let me draw what happens with a stretch stitch. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. The needle's going to start here and it's going to make one stitch. Then it's going to go back to the original. Then it's going to go back again. So then it's going to go forward, back, forward. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. But it will actually appear like a nice straight solid line. But each one of these stitches here then will actually have 3 stitches in it. The other thing that's very important to do is to actually sew the entire seam, not just that hole. Because if you've already gotten a hole in your pair of pants where the threads have snapped, chances are the rest of that seam has weakened. Not only on that leg, but the second leg also. So it's always recommended to do both seams in both legs. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start, if I have the hole here, I'm actually going to sew the whole seam. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to work down to the bottom. And I'm going to do that on both legs. The other thing is if you start at the top and end at the bottom on one leg, do the same for the second leg, because it can stretch a little bit different. The fabric will actually stretch slightly different. Now what I normally do, if I have the machine set up, I just actually do all of the seams that I can get to. And that way I don't have to worry about them again. Now let me show you a way that you can actually mark your pants so you know exactly where to sew. Because you're going to actually want to sew right over top of the stitching that is already there. But on a pair of black pants, for example, it's very hard to see. So it's really convenient if you can mark it. There's a couple of ways to mark it. You can actually use a chalk pencil, and this has a soft chalk lead in it. You can use a standard chalk, it's a tailor's chalk, and this actually is a hard pressed chalk. Both of these will wash out very well. The other thing you can use is a wax marker. They still call them chalk markers because it's a standard term, but they're actually white wax. You can also use a white candle and will work the same, but make sure you use it on the wrong side of the fabric. When it does hit the heat of the wash machine, it does wash away. Now let me give you a close-up on how to mark this seam. So here is the seam that I'm going to want to stitch over top. And it will be very hard to see when you get it to the machine. So you're going to take your marking pencil and you're just going to rub it over top of the stitching that is already there. And when you do that, you will actually see the stitching. And then you're going to be able to sew right on that line because it'll be so much easier to see. Now that we have this all set up to go, we need to know what size stitch to use. The length should be 3 millimeters, which is just slightly bigger than a standard size to sew with. Normally most machines set up at about a 2.5. If you go up to a 3, it's just slightly a little bit bigger. Doesn't put so much pressure on the seam, and it makes it a little bit easier to sew so you don't stretch the fabric as much. Check with your manual just to see what your stitches are because sometimes they don't go by the millimeter, might not go by 2.5. So what you would do is what your standard is for your standard sewing, you just increase it just 1 notch. And that's going to get the proper stitch length that you're going to need to sew the heavier and the stretchier polyester that you're going to need. So there we have it. To recap, we're going to use a triple stitch, 100% polyester, a stretch knit needle, a foot that you can use and to see through, and you're going to mark the seams. Start at the top, go to the bottom, do all the seams that you can, put your pants on, and enjoy them. Hopefully that'll help you and clear up a little bit of myth on how to sew a stretch knit. As always, I'm so glad you could join me. Feel free to subscribe and join me next time and let's see what else we're sewing in the room. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.